So now what? Now that we all know everything's a lie, everything's been a lie, and we've all had an idea. We've all known that. It's like the elephant in the room. It's the thing you don't want to freaking deal with. But when it starts affecting enough people, and when you have enough gathered information, and you can see that, well, we don't know what the truth is, but we know what's not the truth, and that's basically our whole lives. Any system we've been a part of, any religion, not to sound like a know-it-all, and I'm sure you yourself have a similar experience. I've known this shit. I've felt it since I was in my teens, I would say 15, 16. And that's way before, I mean, the internet was, AOL. Everything was block titles and like, shitty, I don't even know what, 360p, maybe not even. So I always knew something was off. I'm raised Catholic. I'm raised by, man, my family's fantastic. Phenomenal family. I always knew, I just always felt like, I always wonder, why was the Catholic Church so scary and like doom and gloom? This is, I was wondering, like, we're going to see God, we're going to pray to God, right? If God's such this caring God and understanding and, but then there's all this dark imagery, and it just, nothing seemed right to me, And then once I started hearing George Carlin's stand up, then I started kind of, when you start getting a little bit of an awakening, like, I was probably like, I don't know, 14, 15, 16, somewhere in there. And I started listening to some of his stand up and some other cynical people. And I started picking up some of what they were laying down. And then over time, you start to connect the dots. You just do. And if you really search and you really have the time, and I hate to even say search, because a lot of this stuff that we've all come to understand, where did it really come from? Like, you can't Google shit anymore. I can't believe anything. I can't take anything serious. I'd rather read a Reddit post and see some comments and get different opinions than to go to some trusted source like the Discovery Channel, the History Channel. Really? Ancient aliens. I mean, this stuff's, it's all a joke to distract you, and it pulls you in. I don't even know who to, I honestly, I don't trust shit anymore. I used to love watching Joe Rogan, and I still do enjoy. If David Lee Roth is on, I'll enjoy that because it's just about music, Roth's life. It's pretty just entertaining. But man, I can't believe there was a time I thought Neil deGrasse Tyson was legit. I did. I did. I didn't know. I was in with everybody else, with the normies or the simps, whatever you want to call it. I was just in with the flock. And then slowly over time, you start to see these things, and it's just basics, right? Like, we don't know. I always say, know what you don't know. Be aware that you don't know everything. And now I'm starting to change that slogan to, we none of us know jack shit. I really think we all just have good ideas and good theories and clever assumptions, and but no one knows for sure anything. No one knows for sure unless you could all go to space or have some better evidence. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed with anything I see. And once you understand, see, when I started to understand that everything's a lie, is when you start digging into the origins of things, the origins of civilization, not the stuff they give you in the textbook, not the stuff on, Wikipedia or some garbage. You have to kind of find some off the road sources. I found a great source are some, like, I hate to say bitter, but kind of disheartened and disgusted former professors that used to teach history, and now they're on YouTube. And they actually, I know this one gentleman who I'll share it in there. I can't say his name correctly. Phenomenal source of information. There's another one called My Lunch Break. My Lunch Break, just that what it is. And he unfolds and uncovers all the nonsense with all our old buildings and all our old structures. And you'll see for yourself. I'm never going to be one to tell you how to think, but just watch it, and you tell me what you know you make your own decision. But it's just a feeling, and then once you start to confirm some of these feelings, where it's not like the actual truth of what happened, like, we don't know for sure who built these old buildings, or is gravity really gravity, because they tell us, are we on a flat earth with a dome over it, or is it really a globe? I don't know what to believe. Everything has been made for us to feel a certain way because we're emotional creatures, and they know that. and we're easily malleable mentally, and we're even myself, that's where I caught myself. There's so many things that I don't watch or follow now that I used to the point where now I don't know what to trust. I don't trust Joe Rogan. You can hate me in the comments. I don't hate the guy, but I can't trust him when I see certain people on his and it's meant to make you feel like that show feels like it was designed to make me feel like this is a safe place for me. I don't trust the government. I know they're doing bullshit and this and that, and everything's a game. It's basically just a game, which is why I keep Mr. Dick Gregory behind me, because he's right. It's a game. This is a game. And once you see that, you don't even need to know you could just understand how it would work. I mean, they had to control the masses somehow. And the reason why they changed, I think, controlling the masses, where it's more of an iron fist, where before I believe we had a utopian society when it's all those old buildings. That's just my personal belief. You don't have to believe that. I believe that there was a society where there weren't just, a couple hundred or a few, whatever, thousand billionaires or a group of billionaires, and then, you know, hundreds of millions of people in poverty that can't even get by day to day. The scary thing now is you have to basically become your own country. I know it sounds insane. You have to become your own, uh, I hate to say business, you have to be your own entity in a form where, I don't know if you noticed, I don't know if you noticed, but the job market is insane, and it's not, even if you land a great job. I'm actually, and I'm going to be honest, I'm in a tough spot. My back's against the wall right now. Uh, Even gigs, for my guitar playing and that, they're not what they used to be, and what used to be a $300 gig is like $180 gig, maybe $150 gig now, and lucky to get those. Meanwhile, since those gigs a few years ago, inflation's gone crazy, so you have to adapt. I can't just sit here bellyache, I can't act, but at the same time, I'm not going to beat myself up and say, "Oh, I should have done a trade." That's easy. Hindsight's 2020. I chose the guitar. I'm great at it. I love it. I know my worth. If it doesn't generate money, then I'll do something else that does, and I'll play. I'll always find time to play. But you have to adapt and move. And I guess the point of this is I just been thinking, man, anyone out there with a talent or a desire for anything, make a YouTube channel and try to do something where you have something for yourself, because it used to be where had a secure job, and you get the benefits and you get the 2 weeks of vacation and all that. You can't bank on that. Even if you have a job like that now, that might be gone in 5 years, 7 years, 2 years, maybe even 3 months. Nothing is really the only thing you can really depend on now. I feel like it's flipped. You can only depend on yourself. You got to get creative. You got to find ways maybe in your community where you can make money and maybe also help out a problem. That's what I'm kind of trying to do at the moment. I'm thinking of all kinds of ideas to keep the ship rolling. Now, I'm fortunate I own my home, but even without a mortgage payment, it's insane. I mean, I'm going to tell you, I'm sure you're going through the same stuff, but it's set up this way. So the only thing you can really do is try to play the game and at least try to get your cut without being an evil person, and still living by God and still trying to be an example that Jesus gave us. I believe Jesus is our example, not to be worshiped, but that's my feeling. Whatever you believe, try to do it. Live like there is a God, I believe. But I wonder, I see all these people just doing whatever the hell they want. They just take what they want, say what they want, never get in trouble. Whether it's a celebrity or a basketball player, like nothing happens. They just get more rich. So do they know a secret that maybe we don't, or do they just not have a soul? For me, I think they just don't have a soul. And if you've never had a job and you're making hundreds of millions of dollars, you have no concept, you know, you have no concept of what money is until maybe you blow it all. Just circling back to Dick Gregory, that's a line that always stays in my head for years now. He says, maybe I'll try to put the clip in here, but he says something like,
What's dangerous is when the universe pick you and you put on the magic glasses. There's rules that go with them. You can never take them off. You never see things as they're supposed to be. You see things as they are. You could never force nobody else to wear them. So I read all the papers, not because I trust none of them, to look for the crack in the fabric. You think a mighty nation like this would have the Washington Post and the New York Times and don't have CIA agents and FBI agents on? You think the evening news ain't got agents on there that we grew up with? We think they, it's the game they play.
Were you always a questioner? Did you always question us?
No. Why would I?
You probably have the glasses too. Either you know or you don't. And I think it happens. If it hasn't happened to you, it might still happen in your life. You know, if you're a younger person, even if you're not younger, things happen in your life and they're timed for a reason. And when you're meant to see things, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So what Mr. Gregory said is God gives some people the magic glasses where you can see things and just understand things without having to have someone tell you. It's called universal or cosmic knowledge. And when you meditate regularly, you will experience these things. And when you come across certain information, it'll all start to click. And it's just a knowing. Like I said, either you know or you don't. Either you feel it or you don't. And it's not some bullshit. It's not, so many times I change my mind because information has come in. There's bands I don't listen to anymore because I just can't with a good conscience. You can call me, you call me crazy, call me whatever. I don't care, man. I'm shocked too. There's certain people I don't listen to anymore. There's certain movies I won't even watch anymore because of the actor or just because of the story. Once I realized, oh man, that's what this is about. And they're trying to force us to do, it's always, I still love my certain movies, but certain ones I've seen where they're trying to steer us a certain way in programming and brainwashing with, twerking history. But he says, once you have those magic glasses on, you can't take them off. Once those magic glasses are on, you can't take them off and you can't unsee things. So now you got to live with that. That's the hardest thing I think I have in the last few years is biting my tongue, is not screaming to my family members who I care about. It's not hard to eat good. It's not. It's super easy. Not every meal has to taste amazing and be this experience. Oh, I don't like the taste of water. I can't drink water. You fucking kidding me? Drink the water. You're a damn adult. That's why we say, like, a deer in the woods doesn't order Chick-fil-A. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying to eat like a bird. Well, actually, you know what? I am saying eat like a bird. And once in a while, if you want to be a slob, I guess you could. But I stopped doing cheap meals because I used to love Chick-fil-A, man. I get two of those things. And the big waffle fry, extra sauce, all that. When was the last time I got that? I think it was a year and a half. So it was not last Christmas, but Christmas before I was out shopping and I grabbed one, even still guilty, even knowing there's all those chemicals and shit. And I got it and it wasn't that good. It was good, but it wasn't like, it didn't blow me away. And I didn't have it at that point for probably a year or so, maybe even more. But now I don't even want it. I don't even want Chick-fil-A, man. That stuff sucks. All that stuff sucks. It's got chemicals. You don't know where those chickens, all that stuff, man. Cook at home. It cooks simple. And then when you have pizza night, holy shit. But to scream this stuff around, to scream, I can't just go around reprimanding everyone because people got to make their own choices too. So it's hard to see certain people around me where you can help, but you just got to let them kind of live their own lives, And I'm sure there's probably people looking at me and talking about me right now, but probably think the same thing about me. I'm not a know-it-all. I just once you see things a certain way, once the world is open and you're like, man, all that shit since I was a teenager, now it's starting to make sense. Now I'm like, shit, this is all just control. Even since the Black Sox baseball, they were always manipulating things. Once they got your attention, that's the biggest currency there is our attention. And then they mess with the dopamine levels and all this scrolling. So out of this whole mess, you might say, well, what do you do, Jay? Right? I say you do this. The one thing you have to do during this whole mess, or you're not going to make it, and you're going to make everyone else around you panic, especially if you're a man, is you got to have control of this. You got to have control of your mind and your composure. You got to know that this is a game. You got to know that this is stacked against you. And then once you do know that, you can start to manipulate things. I'm starting to see holes in the Matrix. I know I said it. Love that movie. I still watch it, still get a lot from it. I always pick up something. But there's still something in the back of my mind that says, you know what, this is from Hollywood. They want me to see this. Like, why are they trying to make me feel this way? Are they telling me there's a matrix? Are they telling me they want me to think this is a matrix, but it's not? See, that's the thing. But when you meditate on a regular basis, the one thing I will highly recommend is meditation. Look it up. Maybe I'll talk about it on the channel here, but silence, darkness, 30 minutes, clear your brain. Try to think about each muscle, even the muscles in your face, the muscles in your legs. Think of them just relaxing. And the hardest part, and this is what takes practice, and I'm always working on this, is to try to clear your brain. And that's the hardest part. Anytime there's a random thought, you got to kick that shit out. And the way you do that, the way I do it is I like, just in my mind, I hear my own voice saying a made up 2 or 3 syllable word. Just make up something that doesn't remind you of anything. It's actually not that hard. And over in your mind, keep hearing that over and over. When you focus on that, it's not really a thought because the word doesn't mean anything. So you're just zoning in on that and you're clearing your mind, and things will pop in. And bad stuff you want to come, there's bad things that you might not want. If you come up to random shit coming in your mind that's useless, yeah, kick that thought out. But answers will come to random things. Sometimes I'll drift into a little sleep after a while, and then it's pretty neat because you're sleeping, but you're not, and things just kind of start to come to you. Or you got to do it. You got to try it for yourself, and then going forward, everything will look a little. Things pop out that normally wouldn't. That's all I can say. But you have control of this inside your mind. That's your own playground. Dream huge. Expect huge stuff. And don't tell anybody anything. That's another theme on this channel. Don't tell anybody shit, because they're going to ruin your dream. They're going to rain on your parade and try to tell you how many ways you can't do something. Dream big and know in there. Just keep talking to yourself like a self-coach and say, you know what? Anytime it gets tough, anytime it gets crazy, if you're going through a relationship thing, you got to remind yourself the truth. The truth is, I'm going to find someone better, and I'm going to be alone for a while and hang out with myself. I'm not going to be obsessed with this one I was with. I'm not going to be obsessed with this one I want to be with. One-man army, one-person army, And that's the truth. In here, you can do whatever you want. You can think whatever you want, but think pure thoughts. Think good things. Think of how you can do something. Think about how we are going to get out of this crazy, I hate to say financial situation, but this crazy economic situation, and you're going to land on your feet, and you're going to have a great business, and you're going to do it all on your own. So we'll do it together. But just know that we all know that these are all lies and we're getting fucked with daily. So breathe, know that, and then face it. And then you can actually start to manipulate it into your favor. All right. See you next time. That was terrible. I'm so bad at these endings. My God. That's all I got for you. See you next time.